SPCS, welcome. It's Monday night. We are here covering the rookie division. It's week 5, which means this is the final week of the Swiss stage, and we have an org special coming to you. It's Oceanside Blahajs versus Oceanside Maelstrom. So these two teams coming from the same org get to face off here in this final week of the Swiss stage. Let's take a look at our schedule here. Now, as you can see, we have these two teams facing off in the rookie division to start things off for the week. On Wednesday, we'll have that intermediate division, Time Lost versus Eternal Blue 2. And then rounding out the week in the advanced division, it's Bacon Pancakes and Concordia Wild Wind. So, like I said, last week of Swiss stage for all of these divisions, and then it's on to the play-ins and the playoffs. Now, we can take a look at these two teams, starting off with the Oceanside Blahajs. Fantastic name. This team coming into the series, we have the rosters on the screen for you. It's Feed Stacker and Variety on the DPS, Ash Thursday, and Warhyper on the support, Panini on the tank for the Blahajs. Now, on the side of Maelstrom, we have Zeegs and Jinx on the DPS. Carson, Cowbird, and Job all signed up for that support, and then Tyla over onto the tank. And of course, some of these players are eligible to play some different roles, so we might get to see them kind of swapped in and out depending on the map and mode that we up on. I mean, speaking of the map and mode, we do have the set map here for map 1 in the series. We are, of course, going to be heading over to Nepal since we are here in week 5. That means that all teams that are playing this will be getting started out on that control map. And of course, after that, the way that it works is that the losing team will get to pick the map and the mode that they go to in this first to 3 series. And I think that we also might have a bracket to show you. You know, we're in week 5. So there's been some action that has been happening throughout this season. Take a look at the standings. Yeah, so we were talking about it. This is the last week. That means that the play-ins are going to be happening. Now, only one team in this rookie division is currently going to be locked in for their spot in playoffs, which means that they get to just glide on through those play-ins. It's the Eternal Beat Drop Bears that are going to skip those play-ins, go straight to playoffs. And as you can see, all of the other teams here in Rookie very, very close. A lot of 2-2 score lines, including Oceanside Maelstrom versus Oceanside Blahajs, both with that 2-2 record. So the rest of these teams pretty much fighting to get a victory, try and secure their spot in the playoffs. It's the top 5 that go through straight to the playoffs. Everybody else gonna have to battle through those play-ins, which, you know, maybe you would really like to punch your ticket in the top 5 so that you don't have to fight through that. But nonetheless, only 11 teams here, so looking pretty good for the rookie division. And like I said, a lot of them with really, really close score lines, which means that the odds are pretty good that you can maybe break your way into that top 5. It's not only going to depend on how you do in your match. Of course, you want to win the match and get yourself a little bit closer to in that top 5, but it also is going to depend heavily on how the other teams fare out, because of course, coming into these tiebreakers, we're going to get down into the nitty-gritty of map wins, map differential, and maybe even into that Bull Chol score, because we are in a Swiss stage, so never know what it could come down to. So these two teams, I will remind everybody that we will have hero bans coming in. We're getting everybody in the lobby right now, so we'll get those hero bans sorted out. It is Oceanside Blahajs that's going to be able to have that first hero ban. Well, the way that it's going to work is that each team gets to ban out 1 hero. Of course, you cannot ban 2 heroes of the same role. So if that tank ban comes in, that means that the other team's going to have to go with a DPS or a support ban as we head into Nepal. And coming into season 18, I mean, we've gotten to see a whole lot of different heroes being played, which means that these hero bans can really, really be focused, really be targeted towards somebody that's either playing really, really well, or maybe somebody that your team is just not really having a great time playing against. And Blahajs are going to go ahead and ban out the Genji here on Nepal. So one of those flex DPS that is getting a decent amount of playtime right now. We saw kind of a rise in this double flex DPS that's being played. Genji and the Tracer kind of really favoring these high mobility heroes. But of course, like I said, it's a pretty good variety right now. So banning out the Genji, there's still lots of other viable heroes. This does, of course, mean that Maelstrom is going to have to go for either a tank or a support ban. And going into Nepal is the first map in the series. This is, of course, like I said, best of 5, first 3. So you might not want to come out with a really heavy hitting ban right away. You know, the Genji ban coming out, just kind of testing the waters, I think. Wanting to play a certain play style that maybe is going to deny kind of this one-shot potential that the Genji has. But Nepal has typically been kind of a dive type of map. We've been seeing some Wrecking Ball getting played, Winston in a fairly good spot, D.Va also in a very good spot right now. Has had a bit of a change to her major perk coming into season 18. So she gets some focus fire on that primary fire, and that can do a whole lot of burst damage all at once. Now, banning out the Genji, I do anticipate that we are still going to see Tracer. She's been in a very, very good spot for a very, very long time. Another hero that we've been getting to see a little bit more of is the Reaper. We've been seeing kind of a return of the Reaper Zarya. Hazard, another tank that has been getting a decent amount of playtime here, and Maelstrom is going to go ahead and ban that out on Nepal. Now, this, I'm guessing here that Maelstrom want to potentially run a dive composition. Now, the Hazard does have that dive ability, also has a really big amount of burst damage that can really shut down a Winston in particular. D.Va as well, although D.Va can kind of eat up some of that projectile damage from Hazard, can still kind of be countered by this Hazard. You got a really big hitbox, going to be able to get up to that high ground, so with the Hazard out of the picture, I am still anticipating that we're going to end up on a dive of some sort. The Wrecking Ball could always come into play here, depending, of course, on team preference. And where these two teams are from the same org, and they're playing in the same division, I have to assume that they're fairly familiar with each other, that they've probably scrimmed each other a handful of times. But like I said, when it comes to the matches themselves, both these teams having that 2-2 score line means that it's been pretty neck and neck. They have not played each other, but they have at least, played some pretty tough opponents here. I'm taking a look at the win-loss record. I mean, Maelstrom has lost to the Eternal Beat Drop Bears, who I mentioned earlier, did already punch their ticket to the playoffs, not having to go through those play-ins. The #1 seed right now. On the side of the Blahajs, I mean, they're actually kind of on a win streak right now. They lost their first 2 matches, but ever since then, the last 2 have been wins for them. Granted, the last one was really, really close. It was a 3-2 for them. So definitely fighting kind of tooth and nail to get that win. But, you got some momentum going. We are just about ready to head into Nepal. Looking like we are going to get things started off on Shrine. Kind of alluding to it. It's a dive map, but so far what these two teams are hovering, not looking dive whatsoever. We have the Zarya on the side of Oceanside Blahajs, the Mauga coming out here from Tyla. Now, we did have the TP out from the Blahajs, trying to get themselves a little bit more space. They do also have Aura on this Lucio, so you're going to have that Aura speed for the team. Meanwhile, though, Dinkler's going for this Wuyong composition for a little bit more damage here. Jinx on this Reaper going to be a whole lot more damage. First blood gonna go the way of Maelstrom, and actually gonna pick up the second right away as well, and they've already positioned themselves towards this point as the objective opening up here. Everybody on the point here for Maelstrom, and that is gonna be a very, very quick fight there. You can see this presence from the Mauga on the point, even without those perks. Just so much presence that the Zarya had a really hard time kind of walking into that. Don't see any swaps happening here. I do like having Booney over on this Sojourn, but it does mean that Oceanside's gonna have to play a little bit slower here, right? You want to be able to build up to that rail gun, build it off of Tyla on this Malga, and then you go for the shots. Oh, Zeagles, what a great angle, able to take down Variety, and that's a big engagement right there, right? You want your Reaper to be able to TP in, you get the bubble on, and Panini, as soon as those Zarya bubbles are used, just absolutely melted. And look at this Maelstrom going so aggressive into spawn. Tyler actually does get punished for that, so really good job from Variety to find that kill, but Blahajs have to move fairly quickly right now because you did kind of get that late spawn. Everybody's 5 now, but you gotta make a move because Tyler's gonna be able to get back into this fight pretty quickly. Overclock here from Booney to open things up. Everybody from Maelstrom just absolutely running away though, and that is going to be a little bit of a contest coming through. We see the pulse bomb was committed by Zeagles. Doesn't quite find anything though, and here we go. After 63% for Maelstrom, it is going to be the Blahajs picking up a flip of their own. Not too bad, not too expensive. You only use that overclock, but on the side of Maelstrom, I mean, you've got both these support ultimates here. This Tidal Blast from the Wuyong could be devastating. You have a bunch of really great ultimates to throw it over onto as well. You can give it to the Tracer, you can give it to the Mauga as you go in for a stomp. I think the crucial thing here is watching for these bubbles to come out from Panini because the Zarya can deny a whole lot of value from that. It's a stomp in. It's going to prompt the Kitsune Rush here from Ash Thursday. And okay, even though the Tidal Blast was used, Dingler does end up falling. Variety using that Death Blossom to just absolutely tear apart Maelstrom with the help of that Kitsune Rush. And looks like the kill feed going the way of Blahajs here. You do lose Variety, but all the while, you're still in control of the point here. So it's just a little bit of a cleanup, and that is the Blahajs withstanding that attack from Maelstrom. Maelstrom, though, only committed that Tidal Blast, so you've got some really nice ultimates into this fight. A Kitsune Rush from Job that's not going to be able to be matched by Ash Thursday. You also have the Blender combo, the Death Blossom plus the Cage available, so we'll have to see how they look to use this because the beat is available here from War. It's probably not going to be able to sustain through an entire combo, but here we go. It's a nice engagement, finds 4 members. Variety does fall, but it's a trade out for Job, which means no Kitsune Rush. Okay, Cage does get committed, which does make Lore use that beat. Connects onto 3 members. Tyler doesn't stay alive long enough to really confirm any kills within that cage, and Jinx wasn't able to get that Blossom out either, so you don't really get that combo percentage. Still building here for Blahajs, but Panini and Booney are very, very low. The Zarya falling so low is able to stay alive, and Booney's going to be able to pop this overclock. Not a whole lot of space to work with, though, as Maelstrom has already pushed himself onto the point. The Kitsune Rush is going to give them even more space. Ooh, we saw the Death Blossom committed there from Jinx, but immediately Headshot gets shut down by the other Reaper. Meanwhile, the point flip has gone the way of Maelstrom here. Oceanside Blahajs, you either need to take a quick fight now, get a reset, or try and flip it, but it does look like flipping it no longer an option here, as it is going to come to last fight territory here on Shrine. It's Tidal Blast on the side of Maelstrom versus the Kitsune Rush and a Death Blossom coming online. If Variety can just play a little bit slower, has this Kitsune Rush as well to try and build up to this Death Blossom. Bubble already kind of forced out from Panini here. You need to find a kill if you're Blahajs, but no, War ends up falling first. Here we go. Death Blossom popped out. Doesn't find any final blows, but it does do a whole lot of damage. The Tidal Blast from Dingler onto themselves just to try and stay alive, but overtime and a team kill here for the Blahajs. And I don't think that Maelstrom's even going to have a touch. We can see Booney's kind of looking around, suspects that Zeagles could potentially be lurking, but it is not the case. There we go. First point goes the way of the Blahajs. Maelstrom looked really, really good to start things out there, but Blahajs making some pretty good adjustments, realizing how to play kind of against this Mauga composition. Doing a good job of using their ults in tandem as well. I really like the combos that were coming through. We saw the Kitsune Rush and the Death Blossom trying to kind of pair that together. Maelstrom just not quite able to kind of find those same combos. They had some really nice options there where you could do the Grav or the Cage plus the Blossom. Didn't quite work out, but good teamwork nonetheless. So We'll see if they end up changing things up here as we do head over to Sanctum. It's Tyler that's actually moving over onto the Zarya here. So off of that, Malga, gonna move over, match this Zarya. It's essentially the mirror comp. We do still have Zeke over on this Tracer. No, actually it's gonna swap over and match the Sojourn. So the only difference here is gonna be that backline, the Lucio Kiriko versus the Wuyong Kiriko. So the speed and the aura healing here for Blahajs, but a whole lot of damage available on the side of Maelstrom in now Wuyong. Have a little fight happening towards the point here. Bit of a scuffle as Panini is gonna fall first, so no tank on the side of Blahajs means that that's a whole lot of HP that's already gone. Tyler though gets traded out, Variety finding that kill. Meanwhile though, Maelstrom, oh my gosh, Dingler showing just how much this damage can be done with the Wuyong, as I do believe that I have been joined by another caster, Naya. Welcome to the show.
Yes. I am here, yeah. We get to see two Oceanside teams here fight their way out on the SPCS Series 3. Now let's see what Jinx here does against the Zarya.
Okay. See a little bit of a fight happening here. Dingler again finds his first opening pick, and Maelstrom doing a great job opening fights up here, and they're gonna push forward. Yeah, Blahajs are just basically forced to back up. You don't have Panini, you don't have Ash Thursday, you just don't have a way to break through this.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you here. I also really do like these backlines from both of the two teams. The Zarya pick is actually nice from both. But I really want to see what Jinx does with this Reaper Blossom that's coming up.
Ooh, yeah, that's right. Jinx has the Blossom ready to go, has the potential bubble as well from Tyla. In fact, basically all the ultimates ready to go. Maelstrom, how? But they don't even need the ultimate. You find that kill onto Panini. This overclock ready to go, but Zeagles doesn't need to pull it either. Maelstrom have just absolutely shut down this choke point, and Blahajs are having a really tricky time finding their way through.
Yeah, Blahajs with 3 ultimates at the moment. They're coming up with a 4th. But the support ultimates at the moment are looking really nice. Ash Thursday can pop this Kitsune Rush. And as we do get the Sea Rain, it is popped.
Ooh, yeah, the Kitsune Rush in. It's an immediate grab to counter it, which does force out the beat here from War. Variety, though, staying alive through all of that. Finds a couple of kills. Tyla not able to find any limbs through that Graviton Surge. Variety not done yet. Picks up a 3K in the fight. And finally some percentage here for Blahajs.
Yeah, Blahajs, 2 ultimates currently at the moment. Panini coming up with their Zarya grab here. This could be very beneficial towards that Reaper Blossom. It just really depends upon how to use that ultimate.
All right, well, there's the grab you talked about. Naya does catch one, but it's enough to find the kill. Panini walks a little bit too far forward, though, just does get punished. Blahajs are going to prompt a little bit of a retreat here, recognizing that Maelstrom now have an opening, but they don't back up far enough as Tyla takes down Ash Thursday. The Kitsune, or the Kiriko now gone, War gone as well. No support on the side of Blahajs, and approaching 90% here. It's looking good for Maelstrom to tie this up on the ball.
Maelstrom, this is your chance here now, and you use the overclock. Hold on, both popped. Oh, wait.
Ooh, DPS ults galore. There is a touch that comes through for Blahajs, but Booney dies very, very quickly. Ash Thursday gonna dip her toe onto the point as well. Varsity has the Blossom, but it's not enough to get the contest, and here it is, all tied up. We're gonna head to that tiebreaker of Village.
So I guess this is like the first time, Rain, that I could say that I just jump in randomly, right? But yeah, like this is pretty interesting, right? Like 2 Oceanside teams, they're 2-2 up on both. Like that's a story to tell.
Oh my god, I mean, look at Seagulls with the 3 deaths. Job actually also only 3 deaths. You can see how long some of these players on Maelstrom are living, doing a great job kind of staying alive long enough, building up all really, really quickly. As we head into Village here to see if anything changes, because we kind of noted that it was really just the support line that was different for these 2 teams.
Yeah, it's an even battle at the moment here up on Village. Let's see what both of these two teams could try and switch up here as their tempo needs to go a tad bit quicker here to get this point count.
Oh, Panini. Immediately both bubbles forced out, immediately collapsed on, but Blahajs is doing a really good job answering for that. You find not only the kill onto Dingler, but you also find the kill onto Tyler. So now numbers advantage here for Oceanside as the point opens up, it is going to be Blahajs that get this first flip.
Yep, wonderful work here for tempo on the side of Blahajs. If you are the Sojourn from Blahajs, you need to get that extra advantage value immediately, right? You got to hit those headshots. I think that is what is going to be the leader here for the DPS line.
A lot of cooldowns forced out from Maelstrom there as they try to walk through. No Suzu, no Wraith. Now both bubbles gone as well. Tyler does manage to find the kill, but immediately, as soon as those bubbles are gone, gets punished. And as the Blahajs are in control of this choke point right now. Yeah, Ash Thursday finding double limbs there in the kill feed. Blahajs pushing forward a little bit, maybe trying to find that stagger kill, but it will not come.
Yeah, I totally agree here with you, Rain. Sojourn Overclock coming up here shortly. Same with these support ultimates here from Blahajs. It could get a tad bit dangerous towards this next fight, but you kind of gotta watch out for this Kitsune rush that Maelstrom has coming up.
Okay, here we go. A little bit of a footing on the point for Maelstrom. It's going to be the overclock from Booney. A response from Blahajs is not really finding any kills. Does a bit of damage, but does get immediately punished. That's back and forth in the kill feed, but the flip does go the way of Maelstrom's. Jinx finding a kill, and there we go. The cleanup coming through. Maelstrom finally getting a firm footing on this.
Yeah, it's looking good here for Maelstrom, and I gotta say, like, getting the stop there, stopping him at 59%, now you're able to run with this percentage, and Zeagle has this overclock ready to go. Jinx is almost there with the Reaper Blossom. Something that I could definitely predict here is the supports are gonna get pressured here to use an ultimate.
Yeah, we can see that Blahajs is trying to take a bit of the high ground here, but they're running into the exact same issue that Maelstrom was running into in the engagement, is that it's a very small choke point to try and push through. It's going to be the rotation here, like you said, and I have both those support ultimates ready to go. Blahajs might have to commit one of these just to get through the choke point. This grab ready to go from Tyler, but it's going to be Job with the Kitsune Rush. Here's the match from Ash Thursday. Graviton catches for it.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah, there is actually a response. Graviton here. Panini has that Kitsune Rush. Is able to find a 3K. It's Zarya versus Zarya, but Panini just doesn't have any HP. Team kill. Tyler, the last one standing here for Maelstrom.
That is wild. They are still living and surviving. And the Ultimate Economy actually tells a big story, Rain, right? 3 against 1 current.
Okay, Blahajs just want to move quickly here. They find that kill onto Jinx and pushing forward are going to get some positioning on the point. Now, they haven't quite flipped yet. Oceanside does have some members alive to try and contest this, but got to be really careful, right? He has this Death Blossom ready to go. Would love to pop it in an enclosed space here. Ooh, Tidal Blast out onto Tyla. It is going to be the knockdown onto Panini. It kills him before he even touches the ground, but there's that Death Blossom. Jinx picks up a 2K and is going to help clean up war as well. Another team kill here for Maelstrom as they are going to be able to close out Village and take Nepal 2-1.
Jinx was getting a tad bit nasty there with it, but Strom able to get the first point here for one of the Oceanside teams. Panini was a very good tank player as of what I got to see joining in. Just like the pressure and the aggression, able to use the ultimate when needed, like as here up in this replay, you're able to coordinate, you're able to get those eliminations that are needed. But yeah, excellent, wonderful use of Ultimate Economy from the one side.
Oh my gosh, absolutely impressive stuff. I mean, I'm always a little bit nervous when I see an ultimate come out after, you know, like 3 people have already died, but Panini had that Kitsune Rush to work with. So still, even though the only one standing finds the kills, manages to, you know, not flip the point, but at least make enough space so the rest of the team can come back and get that flip in the end. So close series here to start us off in this best of 5. And of course, since the Blahajs didn't pick up that win, that means that they are at least going to decide where we go for our next map.
Yeah, right. I'm not sure if production could do this for me, but can we pull up the map, pull prod? Please, pretty please. All right, there you go. Thank you. All right. So we got escort, flashpoint, hybrid, push. If we look at the map that was just played, right, Nepal, it was a lot of aggression style. So if these two teams want to go quick heading up into it, maybe they can go to a like flashpoint, or if they want to bring like a tough brawl in, they could go quick up on like a hybrid. It just really all depends upon what they are feeling.
Yeah, and so we will have the hero bans as well. So just to remind everybody, and Naya, it was the Genji ban that came out, and it was the Hazard ban that came out. So the Blahajs banned out the Genji, Maelstrom banned out the Hazard here. So we could potentially see a Genji make a reappearance. I know that he's been a pretty popular hero to play amidst kind of all of the tiers of play. And you kind of gave a little shout out to like maybe we could go to a flashpoint, and I think that the Genji could play really, really nicely on the flashpoint.
Yeah, definitely. Even if you want to go like quick, if you want to be aggressive with the style, I think tempo is like really quick there overall. So it could be very great for dive compositions, brawl type comps. Rush can also be played there. Just overall quick style is all that I could really say.
Yeah, and I have been informed before we went live that Atlas is back in competitive play. There has been a patch that's been added to the floor. Excellent. So you won't fall through the map anymore. So we could potentially see Atlas, but no, it is going to be a hybrid map that's selected. So we're going to be heading over to Blizzard World for map 2.
Peak, all right. So we get to talk about what? Whoa. Okay, hold on. Are you seeing this?
I would pick Blizzard World too if I was Blahajs. Oh my goodness. 4-0? That's crazy.
All right. Time to glaze the sharks here. Blizzard World 4-0.
Well, so since we're in week 5, this means that even in week 1, where you only picked up one map win, that means that your one map win was on Blizzard World.
Yeah, right. Rain, just like looking at that though, it's like I think they might get stomped. Like, not gonna lie, like the stats are kind of like showing it.
Maelstrom is gonna have a really, really big hill to climb here, right? I mean, you want to keep this 5-0 going. You want to get that 5th win if you're Blahajs. Obviously, you've got some kind of strategy coming into things. I'm interested to see if they're playing kind of this Hazard composition, because we did see that Maelstrom kind of banned out Hazard in that first map. And I do think that heading into Blizzard World, Hazard could be a really nice choice for that map.
Totally, yeah. If you want to go quick, if you want to slash and dice, you could definitely do so. Oh, wait, hold on. Taking out Sombra, this is actually a wonderful decision here from the Strom. So, like, to talk even more about that takes out EMPs, that also takes out hacks. You really don't got to worry about, like, that person being in your backline in a way. But now it kind of makes me wonder what Blahajs is going to pick here. You have a choice in between tank or support. If I were them, I would probably be focusing out like a tank here. I think that is the main priority here going into this Blizzard World, because you want that main tank out of a favorited hero in a way.
Yeah, right? I mean, there's only one tank player in Overwatch 2, rest in peace off tank players, but that means, of course, that target bans are going to hit just that much harder when you ban out one of them, because you don't really have necessarily as much kind of flexibility, right? There's not as many. Okay, banning out the Wu Yang makes sense to me. Blahajs were running Lucio Kiriko the entire time on Nepal, and Lucio Kiriko, I think, have a big advantage kind of on those control maps. But once you move into these map types that are a little bit more poke favored, I think that Wu Yang can be very, very devastating.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you here, Rain. Taking out the Wu Yang is a great choice. and this is going to force both of the teams actually to run a whole entire different backline for supports. Kiriko could definitely still be played in this meta, form a shape of thing here in this map set in between these two teams. I think that's actually great for the cleanse and just for what Kiriko can do. But even like if they wanted to go maybe towards like a dive backline, they could do that too. I've seen a lot of teams do many different things here on this map, but as we're able to see, we get to see a Lucio Kiriko up on one and a Brig Ana up on the other.
Interesting. Yeah, Brig Ana maybe not getting kind of as much time in the spotlight as they once did, but I think that on the defense, especially where there's lots of high ground that you can kind of control, I think that it's definitely still a pretty strong backline, right? A lot of solid anti-dive potential. So Blahajs is probably anticipating that some form of dive going to come in from Maelstrom. And of course, Genji back in the mix here, looking like Jinx might want to run out on that.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to what Jinx could do here with that Genji play, especially with that Lucio speed, right? If you could speed in the blade, that could get a lot of crucial damage up on like that backline that War and Ash Thursday are playing.
Yeah, so it does look like the Brig and Ana kind of set up towards the back here. It is going to be the engagement onto the high ground. Already Tyler falling very, very low. Had to use pretty much every cooldown there and didn't really get anything to show for it. In fact, Jinx actually is going to be taken down by Booney. Very smartly kind of backed off, goes back in with the engagement once there's a little bit of a damage that has been done. And Blahajs is looking like they're going to be able to withstand at least this initial attack here from Maelstrom.
Yeah, Blahajs, all they gotta do is sight the enemy currently. Ash Thursday, all she needs to do is throw that anti towards Maelstrom's front line. But take a look at this. I mean, the back line's taking some damage.
Ooh, yeah, the Suzu gets forced out by Panini. It's actually a trade of the hazards here, which is gonna go in the way of Maelstrom, as they are gonna have a little bit of a more defensive advantage here. It is Blahajs rotating back towards the point here, as Job is going to take out Variety. Actually, nice job from Zeagles as well, showing up in the kill feed. This is at least going to occur one tick on the board here for Maelstrom. Looks like Blahajs don't even want to go in for this recontest, waiting for the supports to come back. It's a last second touch here from Panini. Nearly has that downpour ready to go. It is on my big anti-nade, but no, Panini dies. Job finding that headshot, and that is going to be Maelstrom picking up that cap with a pretty sizable time bank.
Yeah, honestly, it might hurt a tad bit here for Blahajs, but they still have that Hazard ultimate coming back. The supports could regroup with their team too here. Even with these support ultimates coming up, you could combo with a lot of things here for the Blahajs. So even with that great time bank that Maelstrom has, they could coordinate plans into this Oceanside team.
Variety has the pulse bomb, looking for it, but the recall does get forced out. We can see Maelstrom is all on the high ground here, still looking to try and find this pulse bomb. It is the nano boost going over onto Panini here. Kitsune Rush from Gob does take on the high ground, and that allows Tyla to just walk all the way forward. All the space being taken here by Maelstrom, but Blahajs is fighting back well here. It is going to be some kills coming through and a bit of a contest on the point, though. Panini has to be very, very careful at this point, have the LOS of the supports, and yeah, it's going to end up falling to Zeagles there, but Kurt essentially at a standstill right now.
Yeah, currently both teams are just trying to find a fixture here to get some things going. Ultimates are up on the line here, though, for both of the economies. You're going to be looking at 4 for Maelstrom, and Blahajs is coming up on 2 currently, or actually 2 at the moment. War could go quick here with this break rally, but it just all depends. Oh, nice.
Yeah, beat from Dingler connects onto all 5 there. Nice response from that overclock of Booney, and that allowed everybody from Maelstrom to get very, very aggressive. Gob is going to pick up a 2K there. Payload, 3 members of Maelstrom moving this payload forward very, very quickly.
Yeah, Maelstrom, they have 2 ultimates currently. They're going to be trying to use one of these DPS ultimates. And as they do get the cap here, they still have a little bit of a sleep up on the tank.
Yeah, the rally was committed from War there. I think Blahajs thought that they were going to be able to get a toe on that point. Booney does find the elim onto Zeagles, but it's a trade back here. Maelstrom finding War, and ultimately, I mean, it is going to be Maelstrom that's going to have these forward spawns now, so the more kills that they can get, it's going to be harder and harder for Blahajs to try and resist here. We see Panini basically just opting to die on the cart. Everybody else from Blahajs trying to just back up here.
I totally agree. Blahajs with the pulse bomb though, they can get back up into this one. It just all depends upon who they place this on. 2 DPS ultimates though up on Maelstrom. This could get a little dangerous, especially with that Kitsune rush that they have in that backline.
Has pulse bomb ready to go. Looking for it. Does find the stick. Yes, and it will connect onto Zeagles there. It's looking good here for Blahajs. It is going to be Jinx pulling out the blade as well, but it doesn't find anything as Blahajs absolutely shut that one down.
Yeah, that's really all that we could say. Like, the book was closed there for Jinx with the blade usage, but that's totally fine, right? You still got 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and I do like this swap. You go to Cassidy now, you have 2 hit scans now up on this team. Range is key for Maelstrom.
Here we go, downpour committed, but it's a nicely timed Suzu there. Eagles maybe just finding their way off the map. Still looking pretty good here for Maelstrom, trying to hold this high ground as Panini trying to force down. Does get the nano, but just as they drop down onto the low ground, okay, we see the downpour committed. Doesn't necessarily connect onto anything as we see Panini just going straight for those squishies, absolutely ignoring Tyla in the background, trusting that the rest of Blahajs is going to be able to stay alive through it. And well, they've got the break on us, so they can certainly survive through an engage.
Yeah, Booty and Panini doing a great job there to engage up on Maelstrom, shutting down that attack. Their defense on the side of Blahajs have been excellent so far here, Rain, but can War come back with a rally possibly, or even Booney and Verity? You have these DPS ultimates. Can they figure out something to even take more time off that top?
All right, it's going to be the Kitsune rush here from Gob to open things up. It responds with 2 ultimates here from Blahajs. Booney trying to find something with this overclock. Everybody from Maelstrom playing fairly far back, though. The rally from War keeping everyone healthy. Panini is going to open things up, but immediately gets traded out, though, as Verity takes down Tyler. Oh. Beautiful pulse bomb. Verity going to find both DPS, make it a 4th one as the Tracer really coming alive.
Yo, hold on. Something was put up in the brick oven. It's burning right now. The Tracer player on the side of Blahajs is just wonderful work there for Verity. You have Panini coming up on this Hazard ultimate here, Rain. That's really the only ultimate that Blahajs will have coming up into this minute.
See the high ground being controlled well by Blahajs. It's the beat here from Dingler. Does find all 5. Zeagle's gonna use that to get aggressive with this overclock, but isn't really finding anything. Just finding the spike block from Panini. Rest of Maelstrom doing a good job, really capitalizing on that beat, though, finding the kills and making a whole lot of space here as Blahajs are basically forced back into their spawn.
I agree. Panini here still with the ultimate ready to go. Ash Thursday. Oh, they are not even going to use that nano as Panini and Verity are able to get some picks here. Blahajs and Maelstrom, they're falling short.
Yeah, not a whole lot of time to work with, though, Naya. I'm thinking that there might be one more fight here from Maelstrom to try and take things. It's gonna be an aggressive hold, too. Panini holding this corner. Ooh, gets hindered, doesn't have a chance to jump out. Jumps out and immediately gets hit with the downpour. Now, it is a downpour in response from Panini. He's got that off just before they dive, but there's just nobody there to capitalize on it. You don't have your tank. You don't have any space to work with. Nano goes over onto Booney, trying to build up to this overclock. It's nearly online, but it's so much space being made from Tyla here, and that means that Jigs and Zeagle is going to be able to really, really pop off on this DPS ultimate. Kitsune rush from Gob over onto the point, and it's looking good for them to try and push this in. Overtime has been triggered, so Maelstrom looking to close this out and at least get a little bit of, there we go, no time in the bank, but you finish it, you get those 3 points.
Hey, Rain, all I could say is that getting pulled into the esports broadcast, it saved me from watching the NFL game.
I'm
I
so
think
grateful.
It's like the Jets and the Dolphins, like they're both 0-3. So, good thing that I'm not watching that. But great thing that I'm doing something that I love. Oceanside teams currently in this, I think, have both been cooking. Ash Thursday has been in some key moments. War has been up in some key moments. Panini and Booney comboing some things for Blahajs, which I think those are the two key players that definitely watch out for if you are Maelstrom. Because even in the defensive hold that Blahajs was doing against Maelstrom's attack reign, Maelstrom was finding some points where they needed to get around that defense, and they were getting stopped. So if Maelstrom were to get stopped a tad bit more in this series, that could definitely go back up onto him.
Yeah, agree. It's looking pretty even here between the Oceanside teams. Looks like Blahajs is gonna stick with essentially the same composition. It is a whole big thing over on Maelstrom, though, as Tyler's gonna move over onto the Mauga for the D.
This is questionable. Mauga, Lucio, Kiriko. I mean, it works good for the brawl. Let's see what Jinx can do, though, bringing on the Reaper. That could take a lot of damage on him.
All right, it's the engagement onto the high ground from Panini. Does get forced down by Tyler, but already the shout's been used, the stomp's been used. Tyler getting really, really low. Does manage to get out as everybody from Maelstrom is going to rotate back, try and take a fight on the point. Big engagement in from Panini. That spike guard not going to last too long, but it is going to be enough to take down Tyler. That Mauga now gone. That's so much HP gone from Maelstrom. And Booney gonna find that parting shot onto Dingler. Now, she does find one on Verity, but the Tracer will be back in fairly quickly. And just like that, Blahajs walk their way into the first point.
Now here's somebody that could play Sojourn, right? Booney, I think, is a great player to just overall combo with Panini, currently up on the Blahajs. As we're seeing, Panini has ultimate already. You're gonna have that pulse bomb too, right? So there's gonna be a lot of things that they could coordinate here up into this next fight, especially with this Hazard ultimate.
Yeah, Panini looking like they want to path kind of towards this high ground. Like you said, Maya, he has this downpour ready to go. See what they look to combo with. Verity kind of taking a bit of an angle here. Nice wall, does end up splitting off Jinx, but it's not enough to try and find that kill. It's actually Zeagles is going to open things up here. Maelstrom finding that first limb. And with a second one as well. Looking to get aggressive here, clean things up. Panini maybe going to get out alive, but no, Tyler is going to absolutely shut down the notion of that. Not going to get too greedy, though. Let's get the reset here.
Yeah, so Maelstrom able to do a great job there of defending there, especially with that high time bank that Blahajs has currently. Even the ultimate economy, right? They're ahead, I would probably say. Or do you think they're matching? You know what? They're matching.
Yeah, we talked about it. Panini still has this downpour ready to go. Blahajs is just trying to find an opening here. It is the stomp in from Tyler. Doesn't quite have that cage ready to go, but does have some backup coming in. They've ended up kind of getting split, though, as here we go. Overclock is going to be committed. Booney finds the kill onto Zeagles, and Tyler is going to end up falling there. The rally from War, keeping everybody alive in this small room. Excellent peel here for Ash Thursday. Going to be able to keep that alive. Jinx, 1 HP in a dream is going to get taken down by that Brigida. Second point now captured here by Blahajs.
Hey, all I gotta say is that the 4-0 up on Blizzard World is kind of showing here currently. But look at all those ultimates getting popped.
I called the second point was captured, but no, it's the stomp in from Tyler, and there's the cage. You combo that with the Deadeye. The Deadeye doesn't necessarily find any kills, but it does a whole lot of damage, and with 0.87 meters to go, Maelstrom stopping that second point cap.
Yeah, but they had to use 3 ultimates, Rain. That's a little something. Maybe a little too overextending into ultimates. I'm not too sure, though. But Jinx and Dingler still have an ultimate. for the Maelstrom side of Oceanside. So they still have something to work with. If you are Jinx here, heading up against this high time bank that Blahajs has, all you could really do is take that high ground, maybe get behind the team, as we are seeing Blahajs kind of coordinate up top with their supports.
Yeah, we see Verity over on this angle, has the pulse bomb ready to go, maybe looking to force out some cooldowns from Gob on this Kiriko. Doesn't manage to do so. There is the downpour committed. The beat from Dingler connects on a 4, but it's not enough to keep Jinx alive. The timing not quite there. Pulse bomb is out, doesn't connect on anyone, but Dingler just steps 1 foot into that, finds the pulse bomb, and Verity doing a whole lot of work on this Tracer. That DPS passive really coming in clutch in this scrappy fight, and there we go. Blahajs is finally going to find that second.
You ain't kidding. I mean, Blahajs is just great work overall, but they still need to be aware of what Jinx has here coming up into this next fight. That Reaper Blossom is a lot of damage that could go up into your back line or even your front line to take out those specific players. But Booney, right? You're coming up on this overclock, even Ash Thursday. Oh, but you're able to take him out.
Gob, how did she find them? The opening kill on a Booney. Verity falls as well, so already, right away, both the DPS gone here for Blahajs, and that means that you just gotta retreat.
Yeah, totally. The Maelstrom still here with the Reaper Blossom. That's the only ultimate that they have currently. Ash Thursday, though, with the Nano ready to go. I do see this going up onto the Sojourn Booney. Can Tyla do an engage here for Maelstrom? Possibly.
All right, we see the Spike Guard expended and the wall as well. Panini looking to get a little bit aggressive there. Does force the shout out of Tyla at least. Verity, we see on a bit of an angle, trying to put a bit of pressure on to Maelstrom. Some different angles. Here we go. Blossom in. And he's going to be the Wraith Form. Finds 2 kills. The Nano onto Panini isn't going to be enough to find any limbs. Will at least allow Panini to get out alive. But nice stuff there. Jinx finding those kills.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Jinx had a great placement there. Great plan. I'm sorry, I'm losing English. Long day. Tyla with the Malka Cage here ready to go. Gob as well here with the Kitsune Rush. You're going to see Zeagle coming back here with the Overclock, but take a look at Blahajs. They have 4 ultimates coming back up in.
Maelstrom is doing a really great job of just finding opening picks. It feels like a lot of these fights, it's either Gob or Zeagles that's just finding a pick out of nowhere, and just means more and more time kind of burned off the clock here for Blahajs. Verity now over on this angle once again, has the pulse bomb. Everybody from Maelstrom set up on this high ground though, goes around, pulse bomb out, doesn't connect this time. Dingler gonna find their way out of that, but it is the engagement here. Gob looking to go aggressive. It is going to be the overclock committed as well. The rally came out from war, but immediately gets shut down. That Kitsune Rush allowing the Reaper to do so much damage. And Jinx going to find Panini as well. Once again, Maelstrom holding this corner.
Yeah, as you said, once again, they hold the corner well. It's great usage of communication overall from Maelstrom, and they still have these ultimates, right? Tyla has this cage fight, which I think is going to play a very significant role here in the last 50 seconds against Panini's ultimate here. So let's just kind of see what happens here with the tank battle.
Zeagles again finding an opening pick here for Maelstrom. Tyla has this cage ready to go, but doesn't even need it. You find a second kill here for Maelstrom, and Blahajs are just falling apart here as 30 seconds going to be on the clock, and oh, it's a late kill on to Ash Thursday as well.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate here from Blahajs. They were coming up into this one with a ton of time, I would probably say. But it goes back to the same story, right? Maelstrom was getting defended very well from Blahajs. These two teams are both Oceanside teams. Maybe they could repeat the story.
We see that Blahajs recognizing this high ground needs to be taken away from Maelstrom. The beat doesn't connect onto Gob, just like everybody else from Maelstrom, but Tyla falling very, very low, manages to stay alive through that. The cage was committed. Here's the Blossom on the point, though. Panini has no choice but to just jump right into it. The Spike Guard not going to be enough to keep that hazard alive, and just Ash Thursday stomped into the ground. Maelstrom gonna go ahead and pick up their second map in this series, putting themselves at match point.
This is looking good here from Maelstrom, but as well, looking back at Blizzard World Reign, I think there was a lot of competition, right? Especially up on that 3rd point hold. Blahajs, same with Maelstrom. Their defense was key. It was very great, I would say. You got to see a big time bank happen going up into that third point, and they were holding a lot of it. But Maelstrom pushed it all the way to 3 in overtime, but Blahajs couldn't get there in time with the time that they had because Maelstrom, unfortunately, did hold them all for the time that they had. But yeah, wonderful Blizzard World section that we just got to witness.
Yeah, I was impressed, right? Because Blahajs just had so much momentum. They took that first point so quickly, but I think that Maelstrom did a really great job of kind of taking the high ground. They were in control of the high ground for so much of second point, and we just saw Blahajs just not really able to kind of break their way through that high ground defense. Finally, when they do, they have to use a bunch of ultimates. And then again, once we get to that third point, we have 3 members from Maelstrom set up on the high ground, kind of behind where the corner is the entire time. And it wasn't until Blahajs just kind of made a really long rotation through that mega room that they really even looked to have a chance to try and break that defense. So I think that Maelstrom just did a really great job of kind of resetting their position after every single fight and doing it so consistently that they're just always ready for the next fight.
Yeah, I think maybe if Blahajs wanted to win that fight, I know that they had a ton of ultimates. I think that was something that I kind of pointed out that was kind of a key factor heading up into one of those ultimate battle fights, Rain. But if they would have maybe flipped the map by going throughout the corridor, going up the stairs, taking that high ground advantage, maybe that could have had a better advantage overall for Blahajs.
I do have to say, I see why the Hazard and the Genji were banned out on map 1. I think that Panini looked great on that Hazard. So seeing that was kind of what was banned out, Maelstrom definitely struggled a little bit, but I think that they did a good job kind of playing that Mauga composition. I think you and I were maybe both caught a little bit off guard when we see the Mauga kind of on the defense, but did a good job kind of finding the time there, living long enough, not being just an entire ult battery the entire time. So I'm interested to see how we move into this third map, how these hero bans are going to play through again, because I do think that both these teams definitely kind of know each other, and I think that hero bans are really hitting hard.
I agree. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what these two teams are going to be picking here for this next map. We already had a control and we already had a hybrid. We have 3 more modes to select from: push, flashpoint, and escort rain. Looking at how these teams have been going quick, maybe they want to go a tad bit more defensive, right? That defensive schema thing on Blizzard World was excellent. So if you want the Maelstrom side to defend again wonderfully, I think if the other opposing Oceanside team, Blahajs, were to pick escort, Maelstrom would be in a great advantage, I'd probably say.
Yeah, Blahajs might want to kind of shy away from those maybe. I'm also thinking that, like, maybe you want to pick a map where you can get a little bit more kind of scrappy. It felt like the time that was happening between fights where Maelstrom had the opportunity to kind of reset and prepare for the next one is when Blahajs were kind of falling apart. Maelstrom also was doing a really great job just kind of finding opening picks every time. So I think that, like, going to a map where you're going to really open things up for the DPS could be a little bit risky, because right now I think the Maelstrom DPS and Gob on the Kiriko, basically a DPS, have looked really, really strong. So I'm thinking maybe you want to take things just a little bit more messy. Maybe you want to take us to a flashpoint. Like I said, Atlas is back in the map pool. The ground has been fixed. So there's lots of options there.
Yeah, totally. I wouldn't be surprised if we were to go to a flashpoint. There was a lot of aggressing points for both of the two teams there that were following the line of sights of each other. So if they want to bring that tempo there again, heading up into another map mode, I think flashpoint would probably be the smarter alternative.
Yeah, Blahajs is unfortunately in a pretty rough spot though, right? Because this is gonna be your last map pick. You didn't win Blizzard World, unfortunately. Nepal was, it's a set map, so nobody got to pick that. But if you're able to win this next map pick, that means that to get the match win, you're gonna have to go back to back with Maelstrom's map picks. So it's a tough ask. Not impossible to do the reverse sweep, but like always, you didn't manage to get your map pick win. Now this is going to be your last chance to get your map. So there's always going to be that advantage that's now going the way of Maelstrom if you're able to get this win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here up on broadcast, right? I jumped in. There has to be some reverse sweep magic, right? With me joining in here, man. But as we're getting to see, Blahajs are going to be taking us to Circuit Royale. And this is kind of something that I talked about heading up into an escort map. This could go a backfire up onto Blahajs, where Maelstrom could take that bigger advantage through defense. But both defenses up on both sides were very close.
I agree. I'm getting nervous because of all of the escort maps that you could have taken us to, you took us to Circuit Royale, which is like DPS heaven and just poke damage in general, right? I mean, if you don't ban out the Kiriko, I fear that Go might take your head off with the Unai, and then also Zeagles has been looking really, really good as well. So Circuit Royale has always been about kind of allowing your DPS to shine. So there's a lot of pressure, I think, on the DPS for Blahajs on Verity to really kind of like step up here and try and find some of these opening picks that have so far been going the way of Maelstrom.
I agree. I think it's just going to be a game of being quicker, right? You want to be faster than the other team. You want to be the one that puts yourself into that battle, not the team that waits, right? So if Blahajs could raid those scenarios immediately, I think it would be a definite good scenario of them getting 1-2 here, heading up into map 4. But we're going to have to see what happens.
Yeah, we are going to have to see, but we're going to take a quick little break to get everything sorted out, but don't go anywhere. We will be back with map 3 after. Okay, welcome back. We promised it would be a quick break, and since we are getting ready to go into Circuit Royale, we thought that it was good to take a look at these map stats because, Naya, we were talking about it as we headed into Blizzard World 4-0 there for Blahajs, but it all fell apart, finding their first loss on Blizzard World.
Chad, I mean, I'm kind of like scared for Blahajs here. Circuit Royale is 0-3. Rain, what do we think about that for a team that needs a point?
It's a little rough, right? But I mean, hey, you just lost the map where you went 4-0, so maybe going to the map where you're 0-3 is some kind of like reverse psychology kind of happening right now. As we do have the hero bans coming in, and before the break, we were talking a little bit about it. Circuit Royale, of course, kind of poke favored. Ever since Ramatra was kicked to the curb, we've kind of been back towards these like kind of Sigma mirrors, and Maelstrom gonna go ahead and ban out the Zenyatta here on Skid, which, you know, that Discord orb can just so pesky.
I kind of feel like this is a throwaway ban in a way from Maelstrom. But May is going to be picked here from Blahajs. This is pretty interesting.
Huh. I am interested. We haven't seen any May so far in the series. Not that I necessarily anticipate we're going to see May on Nepal or Blizzard World, but you know, you could play it on Shrine. I'm a little surprised. I feel like you'd maybe want to go towards a different DPS. I mean, you've been running the Sojourn yourself, but taking out potentially like a Widowmaker or a Hanzo that are going to be very, very impactful here. And I mean, Zeke's has been pretty dangerous on the DPS side of Maelstrom. So interesting to see this May ban coming out. I maybe just don't like dealing with the hero at all.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe they're taking it out because of like a brawl type comp. I know that was a thing that maybe both of the teams wanted to try to aggress on control, but that's just my guess. I got to see both Zaryas there joining in, so maybe that's why taking out a May would be smart. You don't got to deal with the ice walls or like the little freeze, but yeah, Blahajs, this is going to be an uphill battle. I kind of feel like this is like a comparison of Gen G needing points out of regulation. Yeah, so.
If Blahajs want a shot at winning this series, it's a reverse sweep that's in the cards here. So it's looking rough. And like we said, they are 0-3 here on Circuit, but all right, we've banned out the Zen, we've banned out the May, both heroes that we haven't seen any playtime so far. So Naya, I'm wondering if we're just gonna end up kind of on these similar compositions that we've already been seeing throughout the series. Maybe some Lucio Kiriko, maybe some Hazard, maybe some Sojourn.
Possibly, Ray. You know, anything could happen with Blahajs here. They're currently 2 under at the moment, but out of everything, I've gotten to see some reverse sweeps, right? And it's been severely close in this series. After that Blizzard World, right? Heading up in the break, I was like, the defense was insane from both of the sides. There was a lot of key moments with the DPS players following up. But I think what's going to lead into this Circuit Royale here, Rain, is the tank combination with the communication and the DPS following up on eliminations.
Right? Name of the game, get some elims, find the first picks, which so far Maelstrom does seem to have the upper hand in, but you said Blahajs have been doing a pretty good job kind of finding teamwork. I've liked the coordination that we've seen from Blahajs. You just mentioned these have been pretty close maps, right? Nepal went to that third sub map, Blizzard World. You get to that third point, you kind of get stalled out there if you're Blahajs, but it's been very close series. So going into Circuit Royale, as long as Blahajs still have a little bit of gas in the tank here, I think that they have a pretty good shot at least getting a map here on Circuit and then trying to pull out a couple more in the series.
I see it being possible as we are getting to see the rubber ducky floaty. It's the matter of good luck. for Blahajs currently. It seems to be somebody left the game.
Oh, and Seagulls is incredibly upset about it. So we are gonna have Maelstrom starting out on the defense here, and once again they're kind of opting towards having Dingler over on this Wu Yang. So looking like a very familiar composition. Strong.
Yeah, I agree. Zarya coming back out here. This is a composition that we got to see up on that control. So there's going to be a lot of tempo to a grass towards this first.
Okay, yeah, well, on the attacking side, looking like the double sniper war is going to be over on the Wu Yang as well. So this will be the first time that we've got to see the Wu Yang kind of making it side of Blahajs. Some nice poke damage coming in. Shot from Verity, not quite going to connect with the head, but it does do a little bit of damage here. Gonna get a nice position. There's the headshot. Takes out Dingler. Finds Seagulls as well. A third one. This is just something that you never see from the Widow. We're watching the Widow and they get 4 kills. A team kill. I mean, Verity just opened things up.
Verity looking real good here for Blahajs to open it up. As you said here, Rain, this is great. They're gonna have sights for Blahajs. Maelstrom, though, up on the other hand, that's a tad bit of a rough start, right? Now you're regrouped, you have this high ground, you need a re-coordination plan engaging towards Verity, which is going to have these sites.
Here we go. Maelstrom back into things here. Already, Tyla has had both of those bubbles forced out, but on the side, Panini no longer has that kinetic grasp. It's a good presence here on the point for Maelstrom. Sights ready to go here from Verity. Enough damage has been done. And I have an idea of where everybody from Maelstrom is standing, trying to put a little bit of pressure onto this Zarya, trying to maybe force out these bubbles so that she can be burned down. Nice little headshot there. Lamp is forced out by Ash Thursday. Maelstrom looking to push forward, finds that kill onto Panini and takes down Ash Thursday. There we go. Some stabilization here just before that that first point.
Yeah, so Panini now switching over to the Ramatra. This is pretty interesting now. So you're going to have a Ram pick going into a Zarya pick here from Tyla. So the ultimate economy battle, though, Rain, this is going to be something to definitely watch out for both of the teams.
Yeah, this crab ready to go here for Tyla. I mean, it's not gonna go out right away. It does get taken down by the Widowmaker there, but Booney gets traded out as well. But not having Tyla on the field, very detrimental here for Maelstrom as Panini with this Nemesis form pushing forward. Eagles just backing up, trying to stay alive. Does manage to get out with their life, and now taking a nice angle. Finds the shot onto Verity. Does end up falling to Ash Thursday as that Tidal Blast went over onto Panini. And look at all the space that has been created by this Ramatra. Here we go. Tyla back in the fight on the Mauga. Stomp and Shout come out. It's a beautiful dragon from Booney from far away over on to that cart. And that's going to allow Blahajs to pick up this cap.
Booney able to back up Maelstrom there, as Maelstrom has 4 ultimates that they can come back up on to this 3 minutes and 30. You're looking at Ash Thursday with this window. That's the only ultimate currently for Blahajs, but Panini will have this Ramatra Annihilation here shortly. So let's kind of see what Panini is going to do. Window's popped.
Ooh, there's that window, yeah, but Jinx just walks absolutely through it, takes out Ash Thursday. Booty did find the kill on Tagab, but otherwise Maelstrom still very, very healthy and gonna walk their way forward. A team kill for Maelstrom.
Yeah, definitely here. Blahajs is getting reset here. Ultimate economy still very, very strong for Maelstrom. I'm kind of wondering here, Rain, what is going through the minds of Maelstrom with 4 ultimates at their bank?
When they haven't had to use them for this fight because Verity and War sent back to the spawn already. That lamp forced out from Ash Thursday means that Blahajs just have to wait for the respawns and wait for the cooldown.
Yep, so let's kind of see what they could do here. Panini can aggress with the Annihil if they want to, but I think they're going to take this one a tad bit slower, possibly. especially against the 4 ultimates that they have. Oh, that's unlucky.
Oh yeah, opening kill, going the way of Maelstrom, and gonna commit this Kitsune Rush just for good measure, and that's gonna allow Maelstrom to walk forward and smash the rest of Blahajs.
Yeah, Maelstrom only needed to use 1 ultimate there. Kitsune Rush popped there from Gob. And you're back to 4, basically, right? It's back to the standards. Oceanside Blahajs, though, you still have Panini's ultimate. That's the only ultimate that they've had for so long. They have to pop it.
Death Blossom in a tiny little corridor. It is the Annihilation that's been popped by Panini, but falling very, very low. Managed just to find the kill onto Jinx. The block keeping the Ramattra alive at least a little bit longer, and there's the support from Blahajs as finally a little bit of progress on this payload.
Again, this is what they needed here as we are able to get to see the payload moving there up in the bottom right. But Blahajs, you are coming up on Ash Thursday's window. This could be good. It just depends upon how they want to use this.
All right, Maelstrom, we're ready for this next engagement. It's stomp in from Tyla, has the cage ready to go. It is a Tidal Blast that's actually given over onto the Malga as well. It's a massive combo there. Dingler showing up in the kill feed, but it's the cage from Tyla that really locked down Blahajs.
What? Okay, wait. Dingler? Hold on. Wait, this is crazy. This is like the first time I get to see Wu Yang pop off in like a lobby. That's wild. Give man MVP. Oceanside Maelstrom. They still have Zeagle's ultimate here coming back. This could be very good. Let's see what they could do with the overclock.
Ooh, okay, window in from Ash Thursday, kind of denying this this push on the stairs. Eagles has the overclock, slide in, trying to find something. Not too interested in trying to take out Panini. Everybody from Blahajs has actually backed themselves into a little corner, which Verity is totally fine with. Gonna walk out with this bead. Overclock from Booney as well. Panini does end up falling, so you don't really have anybody to try and take some of this space. The overtime triggered. Blahajs have to stay on this point. You have this Blossom ready to go. It is going to be popped. Finds both supports, but it's just War the Lucio trying to stay alive. Needs to get the touch here for Blahajs. It's Lucio versus Malga, and unfortunately, no. War not able to get that touch.
I don't know what to say to that, Rain. I mean, Blahajs, they're down here. They need to hold this. This is looking very... kind of a little one-sided. Let's take a look at these stats, right? You're looking at Maelstrom a little more up on the advantage, getting those eliminations. The damage is definitely showing there from Tyla. The communication is probably really, really strong there for Maelstrom. But Blahajs, at the same time, I feel like they've fallen down in those scenarios where they could have engaged a tad bit earlier with Panini there, as we kind of got to see Panini had a Ramattra Annihil for probably 2 good old minutes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels like Blahajs is just having a bit of a struggle. Yeah, it's tough, right? I mean, first point holds on circuit are not impossible, but they're pretty tricky. Now, once you get into that second point, like maybe you can kind of hold on that high ground similar to how Maelstrom did, but you just don't really have a lot of space to work with on second point. You can get the cart kind of to the top of that hill. You just kind of got it around that corner. So it's not very far that Maelstrom have to push.
Yeah. And I will say, like, if Blahajs were to take a loss here in this series, it's really not going to matter. The record stands. It's only going to be that 1 loss differential from Maelstrom, right? You have 2 wins currently, but take a look at this. Widowmaker's taking angles.
All right, Eagles trying to do what Verity did. Now, Verity is on the Widow on the defense here as well, and showing up on the defense. Nice little shot onto Jinx there to open things up, and Blahajs is going to make it very tricky for Maelstrom to get through this first.
Yeah, Blahajs seems to be playing a poke here for their defense. Tyla wants to go quick here with the Zarya composition. Dingler's still up on the Wu Yang. Maelstrom, though, if you are Zeagle, maybe you could play this lower room, take that upper left. But they gotta get some or few eliminations as Verity is able to follow up on another.
Oh, Oh, poor Jinx. Another headshot being sent back to the spawn. It's just this defensive ground here for Verity. You just have this high ground. You're able to look down on to this low ground, and that just means that everybody that's trying to push in is at a disadvantage. Start Tyla on the Zarya, just trying to put a little bit of pressure on the point. He's going to have Panini there to kind of stop this payload from moving forward, and all the while, it's just nobody is able to kind of put pressure onto Verity, as we are going to have Zeagles that's moved over onto the Sojourn. So we have a little bit of a scuffle happening under the bridge. Some progress being made. Here's Verity's going to go ahead, pop those sights. Tyla trying to push forward here, trying to make some space so that Zeagles can have room to work with on this Sojourn. Pushing a little bit too far, though. The support not quite there to keep Tyla alive through that aggression. And Asha's holding strong here on this defense.
Yeah, this is actually kind of good to quote, right? Blizzard World, they had this strong defense against the Maelstrom, but it kind of fell short in the dying embers of the last couple seconds, right? So if Blahajs can hold that momentum in the last couple seconds here and keep this hold, they could take but 2 support ultimates currently for Blahajs. Panini is coming up on this tank ultimate. I think this is going to be a major ultimate to use here, especially in the minute 35 that Maelstrom has.
Bubble forced out from Tyla. Has this grab ready to go. Trying to look for it. Doesn't want it to be eaten by this kinetic grasp. Is going to connect on to 3. Actually, nice job here from War to use this Tidal Blast defensively.
That's
but
good.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be quite enough. Boone does find 2 kills. Going to go ahead and pop that overclock. Finds Jinx as well. Takes out 3 for Blahajs. But Tyla's still alive. Still doing damage. Gob gonna find that headshot kunai as well, and there we go. Maelstrom breaking through that first defense and finding the.
Yeah, a little unfortunate there. Blahajs were looking good. Maelstrom, though, they are going back up into this one. Zeagles ready to go here with the overclock, as currently 98%. Gob, though, Kitsune Rush ready to go. I gotta say, the support line has been cooking for Maelstrom. Tyla has been there with the eliminations, but Oceanside, Blahajs, some things have been falling short, and they need to find these answers.
Right, here's the sights from Verity once again. Gob gonna use the Kitsune Rush, making a whole lot of space here for Maelstrom. Everybody pushing forward as Tyla does end up taking out Verity. Overclock now from Zeagles just to kind of follow through, trying to keep this tempo going in the mid-fight. He's going to take out Panini. Looking good here for Maelstrom to push forward. Not a whole lot of space left to go for this payload, and this aggressive hold from Tyla almost has the grab ready to go, which could just entirely shut the door on Blahajs. Oh, we see War trying to go in for the touch. Nobody can get there. Maelstrom picking up Circuit, taking the 3-0 victory over Blahajs.
Alright, I mean, that is crazy performance, though, for both of the sides. Oceanside Blahajs still put up a really good fight in this, but, like, they deserved this replay here. Like, Verity was popping off, but Maelstrom, you had some great moments, too. Like, your defense was very pivotal and dominant in some situations that were better than Blahajs. So I think comparing and contrasting, we could say that both of these 2 teams, if they were to battle here again here in a set of 5 maps, right, first of 3, I do see maybe Blahajs learning from this loss and taking this in as intel and saying, hey, we know what Maelstrom now does. We can get back up into this. We could beat them in those situations. Like how I kind of phased in saying going quicker in a way.
Yeah, right? Now, this is, of course, we kind of mentioned this before. This is the last week of the Swiss stage, but neither of these teams are facing elimination. We are heading in to the play-ins. It's the top 5 that will get to go through the play-ins, go straight to the playoffs. Only one of these teams have locked that in. Eternal Beat Drop Bears guaranteed to go straight to the playoffs. Everybody else still kind of fighting for that 4 remaining spots. So Maelstrom have put themselves in a pretty good position to make that top 5.
Yeah, and even though Blahajs is taking this loss here today, think of this way. You still had dominant performance up on both of the sides for your key players. I think you just got to pat yourself up on the back here after this loss and take a rethink going up into this next matchup that you have next week. But Maelstrom, wonderful work here to take this out of Blahajs, to get them in a mental that was a little lopsided, to take those losses and those victories. So Maelstrom, wonderful work.
Yeah, fun series to watch. We kind of mentioned it, even though it was a 3-0. A lot of those maps were very, very close. So excited to see these play off against other, potentially in the play-ins, potentially in the playoffs. But we could take a look at the schedule for the rest of the week because, of course, being Monday, we were just getting started here in the rookie division. On Wednesday, we'll get to take a look at Time Lost versus Eternal Blue 2. And then on Thursday, to wrap things up for the week, it'll be Bacon Pancakes against Concordia Wild Wind.
I'll be there for Wednesday, people. If you guys want to tune in to the intermediate division, I'll be casting. Hopefully I'll have a better voice, right? It's been a long day, guys. But Eternal Blue against Time Loss, that should be an excellent match to watch. I think both of the two teams have key players to watch out for, even though their records. I like to think of it this way. The records really don't matter. The mechanics are what matters in the game.
Yep, very well said. Gotta agree. You're right. Every day it could be just a new opportunity to kind of perform your best. Maybe an opportunity to perform your worst too. You never know. But that is going to be it for us here tonight. It's Maelstrom taking the better of the Oceanside rookie. It was Rain and Naya casting. Behind the scenes, we had Solomon producing. We had Jimmy and Person on OBS. So thank you to everybody for joining us here tonight. And make sure you tune back in on Wednesday for that intermediate match. Same time, same place.